there was this now deceased radio host that had a talk show, and one of his lines he used was talent on loan from God. And I want to look at scripture, excuse me, and see if that's true or not. Now, there's a famous scripture parable, and it involves talent. Well, talent can either be some attribute that you have about your personality or your body, whatever, that is seen as a positive. Okay, someone can have a talent for singing, managing money. They may have perfect whatever for being a model, or skin tones. Or I even watched this little video about this people that are hand models, and there's this one woman who goes around with gloves on all the time because her livelihood is her hands. So all these types of things are talents, okay, in that sense. And also, I believe another talent that God gives everyone is something inside, some abilities that come from Him. In other words, God is love. We know that. We understand that. The Gospel of John, whatever. And we really can't love apart from God because He is love. But He gives us all different types of abilities of being able to love and different things like that. Now, in the scripture about the talents, now a talent can also be a measure of usually a weight of gold or something like that, or metal, some precious metal. But basically, there's a scripture of this ruler, and he has these 3 servants, and he's going to put them in charge of some of his financing because he had to go away for a number of years, but he's going to come back. So one person, he gives 5 talents of it just says 5 talents, but figuring out what exactly the value of things then were or weren't compared to what today is kind of risky, but it probably was around $1 million per talent. Okay, so you can see your boss at your company, he's leaving. He's giving you this $5 million, and he's going to be back in, a couple of years, and he's going to expect that you have increased that. Okay, so he calls another person in, he gives them 2 talents or 2 million, and this other person comes in and he gives him 1 talent or $1 million. So let's just say he's gone 3 years or whatever. He comes back, he wants to balance the books. And he calls in the first guy and he says, well, what you do with the money I gave you? He says, well, I've been able to make 5 more talents with the money you gave me. The guy's like, great, 5 million extra. And he says, well, I'm going to set you over these, in scripture it's cities, but let's say in this company version we're going to use divisions. I'm going to set you over 5 divisions in my company. Of course, he's going to get the pay and respect and everything from that. And he's like, nice. And then the guy that had the 2 talents comes in. And the boss says, well, what did you do with the 2 talents I gave you, the $2 million I gave you? And he says, well, I've been able to make 2 more talents. And he's like, oh, great. He says, oh, I'm going to put you in charge of 2 divisions of the company. And, you get that, the extra pay and everything that goes with it. Then the last guy comes in and he says, okay, I gave you $1 million. What did you do with it? He says, well, I know you're a difficult boss. I know that you expect a lot from people, and I didn't want to lose any of your money. So I went and I put it in, I actually had it in a box under my bed at home. So no one would get it, no one would get at it, and here's your $1 million back. He's like, you worthless person. I gave you this for you to do something with it, to increase it, and you've done nothing. he says, okay, take that away from them, you're fired. So that's basically what happens in the parable if we kind of update it. But there's this thing that says, to many, things are given to many people, but some who have nothing will lose what they actually had, and given to others that have. And I think this is true, that we have certain things that are God-given in us, our ability to love, our ability to sing or dance, or all kinds of different things. I'm doing a series, and there's this guy that's the speaker, and he just has an amazing ability to do this. What can you say? Pronouncing difficult words, really appeal to young people too, because he's kind of athletic, and he knows enough about popular culture to throw some things in, which he's very humorous too. So that's a talent he has. Okay, so what God is expecting is that we bear fruit. He's given us something, and he expects us to bear fruit. Now, it's funny, in today's economy, I looked at this, and with the inflation so bad as it is right now, that if you just took $1 million and put it in your checking account, it basically loses 10% of its value every year. If this inflation kept going, you'd lose like $100,000 a year. So it's like, yikes. Just putting it in a savings account wouldn't make up for what is lost because of inflation. Now, that's normally not true. So, and that's one thing the boss of the company said, well, at least you could have put it in CDs, and I would have had a small amount of interest. That would have been okay. But, so, God expects us to bear fruit with what he's given. And it says, to him who is given much, much is expected. People that are given extraordinary talents, abilities, positions, whatever, being in the right place at the right time with an invention, and they become, zillionaires. All of that is God gifting you with some certain abilities, and he wants to see fruit. Now, the big surprise, I guess, is that the fruit he's looking for isn't monetary. If he's given you a voice that you can sing, and you become rich and famous, when you stand before God at the judgment day, he's not going to say, well, let's check your bank account. He's going to say, what did you do for my kingdom with the talents you had? Person's going to be like, well, what? Did you feed the poor? Did you clothe the naked? Did you pray for, and all of these things? Did you increase in your ability to love? I gave you something that allows you to love. Did you increase in that? And, that in heaven, we share in God's life in a deeper way somehow. We don't know exactly how, but somehow. And in hell, we have nothing there that is of God except the fact that we exist. So any of those abilities we had to be good, that were, you could say part of God, they're gone because you've chosen against God. So you've chosen against all of those things. So, you can either live eternally in the light and joy and happiness or whatever, or you can live eternity without. And so that's what I think it means, that, to people who have given much, more will be given, and people who have basically almost nothing will have that taken away. Not in money terms, but in the idea that God invested in us. He gifted us with abilities and he expects them to be used. And for his kingdom, for his glory, for his power, which, of course, is going to benefit us greatly. So it isn't like we're just saying, oh, I have to do this for God. This is going to be so hard on me. No, it's not. And we're talking about the end times, the eschatological. Oh, I don't think I said that right. I'm not going to try again. But, the end time, the final, destination and where we are, that's what we should be aiming for. So, do you have a talent on loan from God? I bet you do. And have you produced fruit?